Now, quickly, I just want to explain something. This has had to be cut into two parts because if I let it be the whole time, it probably would be near 40 minutes, which is basically the run of the film, and I'm not doing that. So I've cut it into two parts. If it's up when I want it to be, it'll just be a few hours after the original first part uploaded. And I hope everyone has a good day. Enjoy this part. Hi there, guys. Welcome back. And I just want to quickly explain why I've disappeared, and then you can get back into the video. Sorry about this. Now, I just want to explain quickly why I do disappear as I do. For these what ifs, the MCU ones, it takes a lot of rewatching the MCU films, and I love the films. They're probably some of my favourite films going, but after a few watches, it sort of burns me out a bit, which isn't an excuse to not upload any what ifs at all. I could have done some normal Dragon Ball ones, because I can just do Dragon Ball what ifs off the top of my head. I know the lore well enough, confidently, that I could just watch them and be happy. And however, with the MCU, I really have to sit down and watch a film. I have to do a lot more research than I would for a normal what if. So it burns me out. And I had this one pretty much done, but I just couldn't find the drive to finish it, which isn't really an excuse to not do any what ifs at all. I have multiple ones in the works, most of them nearly finished, some of them are finished, it's just a little bit of extra stuff I want to do to them. However, that is sort of where I've been for the last, I think, nearly 6 months, and I am really sorry about this, and I'm going to try and be more consistent as I upload. At the moment, as I said, I've got a few nearly done, and I'm going to try and push out a few more, than I normally have done. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm going to get into the video now. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm sorry about going on a little rant. Please enjoy. The last time we left off with Michael showing up in his first MCU proper movie in Iron Man 2. Now, he didn't really affect the flow of the movie, he didn't really change much at all, to be honest. However, what happened is that he destroyed a few robots, he had met Tony Stark early, and also caught the eye of Nick Fury. Now, Nick Fury knows about his actions from the last part, mostly by Natasha telling him, and also from cameras footage they've pulled from the site, nearby cameras on the street, and also the robots had cameras in them. So pulling some info out like that isn't too hard to believe. Now, we'll cut back to where Clint and Fury are on the phone, and Fury has made the suggestion that he wants Michael to be part of the Avengers program. He knows Clint isn't too happy with this, and knows he won't want his son in a place where his life might be on the line. However, he suggests to Clint that he watches the footage he's seen, just for his own opinion, as he's only 12, and he managed to punch through a chunk of metal, and on top of that, he's learnt multiple forms of martial arts from himself and Romanoff. That's incredible for a boy his age. Fury then goes on to talk about the fact that Michael's potential seems to be unending. As a small kid, they didn't really put him up for much, but he's now grown to the point where he's probably one of the strongest people on Earth at such a young age. And this is just from spending time training with Romanoff and Clint, and a little bit of training by himself, but not loads. He wants to move Michael into an environment where he can learn more about combat if the kid wants to, and if it's okay with Clint. He doesn't want the kid to waste time with other things where his potential might be wasted. But he understands that Clint wants Michael to live a normal life, and is willing to let Michael enroll in school just to do some time there, just so he can have somewhat of a normal life. He thinks now that after seeing him interact with the outside world a tiny bit, he'll be safe to be around, and the public doesn't have to worry. The only issue would be his tail. However, that's something with a little bit of practice he could get used to hiding under clothes and whatnot. So he sets this offer out for Clint to listen to. Now, Fury's intentions aren't all good. He doesn't just want to make sure this kid's potential isn't wasted. He's not going to say this to Clint, but if he doesn't do anything now, he won't be able to make an amazing hero or soldier out of Goku. And he knows if Clint hears him say that, he won't let him, train the kid. However, he wants Clint to review the footage, and he hangs up the call and sends Clint a message. Clint, seeing a message come through with no ID, assumes it's the footage. And after watching his son get put in harm's way, he panics a little bit when he steps up to confront the robots. However, after watching the video a few more times, he sees that his son's actually calm, and he seems quite happy, trying to defend people. He does know it's not all pure thoughts. He knows that he did defend people, yes. However, most of it might have been him just wanting to see if he could fight robots. That's sort of how his son thinks. And he keeps watching it and watching it long after Michael is off in bed asleep. And he has come up with his decision, but he doesn't know about his wife, and he wants to have this conversation with her, as it's not only his and her choice, it's also Michael's. So they'll have this discussion to themselves, and then they'll talk to Michael about it. So Clint goes over to his wife and explains that they need to sit down and have a conversation real quick, which takes his wife by surprise, as he has been really quiet since the phone call he took earlier, and has just been watching something over and over again in another room. And once he explains everything that happened on the phone call with Fury, she isn't too happy. She's just found out that her son was in a very dangerous spot, and also she found out that Fury wants to train him. And she knows Fury, and he's not a bad person, but S.H.I.E.L.D. mostly trains people as weapons, sort of. She doesn't mind Clint doing it because she knows he does it for the right reasons. But she wants to make sure that her son would be safe if he went off and did this, and she doesn't like the idea of him becoming a weapon. And Clint agrees with this and shows her the footage of Michael in the fight. She sees it and freaks out at first, as you would. Your son's being shot at by killer robots. But after she watches it a few more times, she can see that Michael's actually really happy, and he looks super calm in the situation he's in. And he saves people by doing this. Yes, it was probably a side bonus to him, but he still helped people. And she does know Michael loves training, so going off to train with someone who could make him hundreds of times stronger, that would mean a lot to him. But she doesn't want him to go, and tries to convince Clint to train him more, but Clint also says that he can't really teach Michael anything else much now. Michael's actually probably stronger than him at this point, and unless of course Michael wants to learn, I don't know, how to use a bow or a few weapons, Clint isn't going to be able to do much, which upsets him because he loves spending time with his son, and he didn't care how they spent it, he was just happy doing it. And Clint thinks it would be a good idea to send Michael off to do the training. Not right now, not for a while. He wants to get Michael into a normal child's life. He wants to send him to school for a little bit, get him used to that, and when he's a bit older, maybe give him the opportunity to make his own decision about this. His wife likes this idea. She gets to keep him around for a little bit longer while he's young, and in a few years he'll get to make the decision. And after a few more hours of talking about this, they decide this is what they're going to do. They're going to give Michael a few years of normal school life, which Laura really likes, and then when they believe he's mature enough, they'll give him the option to go and train under S.H.I.E.L.D. And like that, they just leave it. That's the end of the conversation. Fury calls back the next day and Clint explains what they've said. Happy to hear that it will be Michael's decision, and because even though he doesn't really know Michael, Fury knows that this kid loves training and probably will choose to come train, and it tells Clint to apologise to his wife for putting them in such an awkward situation. And like that, Goku's going to spend the next 2 years of his life living a normal child's life. He attends school and nothing really interesting happens. I'm not going to cover anything about Michael's school life. I can do a separate part for it if people would like to see it, but at the moment I'm just trying to rush on through this beginning part. Now, 2 years have passed and Michael's now 14. And at this point, his parents believe him to be old enough to make this decision. So, upon the day he becomes 14, they ask him the question. Just before the end of the day, they ask if Michael would like to go train under Fury, Clint's boss. And he hears this and loves the idea. They explain to him that he will still need to attend to school, but he will also be doing some training under his dad's organisation. He's really excited to hear this because he's known for a little bit his dad isn't a normal person. He doesn't do a normal job, but he never knew what it was. So now he gets to be directly involved in Clint's line of work. So they contact Fury, letting him know that Michael will begin training soon and just come and pick him up whenever you're ready. And not even a few hours go by before Happy shows up to take him to his first ever training. He will spend a weekend out training with S.H.I.E.L.D. and will come back for school. Now, Michael's training will mostly be him up against other S.H.I.E.L.D. members. Not that they're much of a challenge to him, but, you know, in bigger numbers, they could probably give him a decent run for his money. He also fights some turrets or any robots that S.H.I.E.L.D. might have in the making. And during this time, Michael actually learns that he's bulletproof, which is an accident which happened which will never be repeated to his mother, which Clint, Fury and Natasha know about. During this time, he is pushed to his utmost limit to see how far his abilities will carry him. However, he's never really challenged during all the training. He does learn some valuable lessons about combat and strategizing and a little bit of medical knowledge now, just in case he's in battle and needs to know. Michael doesn't care much about that, however, he knows it's useful. And for a lot of the time, S.H.I.E.L.D. does try to convince Michael to, pick up a weapon, but the most they could do was show him some basic Bowie staff tricks. Michael likes sticking to a good old fist fight in combat. And in all respects to Michael, he's not only probably the best martial artist S.H.I.E.L.D. has ever met, he's also some of the greatest strength S.H.I.E.L.D. has ever seen. There's only a few people that S.H.I.E.L.D. know of at this point in time which could out-punch Michael. And that might not be like that for too much longer. Now, unfortunately, he's not able to take part in any big missions. This was part of the deal Laura made with Fury, and he's willing to respect that. He wants to wait until they're a bit older. However, Michael does hear about some sort of team forming, something about the Earth's mightiest heroes, and that happens over the span of 2 years now. We're skipping a lot, but I'm just trying to move forward. I am sorry. Now, he has still been attending school while this has been happening, so the boy has seen a lot of growth over these years, and he's 16 at this point in time. He's probably reached his ripe old age, and because of the fact he's been attending school, he's actually a little bit smarter than before. We actually have a Goku who could blend in with society quite easily. He's not intelligent per se, but he's not dumb, so probably an average student. Now, across these 2 years, Michael has become 16, where he won't be physically aging anymore. He's now reached a point where this will be his look for the rest of the series. And also, over these last 2 years, his little sister has been born. And Michael is a great bigger brother to both of his younger siblings, and he spends a lot of time with them when he's home. He didn't get the training partners he wanted, but they love watching their older brother do silly workouts when he's home, and he loves the fact that they're different from him, I suppose. However, it did confuse them that neither of them were born with a tail. He hasn't quite caught on he's an alien yet. As I said, he's a bit smarter, but we're still talking about Goku here. Now, while Michael is spending some quality time with his mum, as his father's away on a mission and it's a school night, so, keeping him home, which is being kept secret from Goku, which is very weird. Michael's normally in the loop for most missions that his father's on, at least, but this one's been very quiet. Well, he heard it's something to do with a strange power source, but that's all he really knows. Now, we're beginning the first part of the Avengers film, and for the most part, beginning plays out the same. Nothing's changed or anything. Hawkeye still becomes mind controlled by Loki. However, arguably Hawkeye did a little bit something. He didn't really damage Loki, he didn't change anything at all, really. At most, he probably managed to dodge a hit. He's used to fighting Goku, so someone coming at him a little bit faster he probably had a little bit of an advantage there. And anyway, Loki still escapes with the Tesseract, and he blows up the facility that everything was being kept. Cut into the part of the movie where the Avengers are being recruited. Fury still goes to get Cap, Natasha still goes to get Banner, and Coulson still goes to get Tony. The only real change is when Tony goes through the Avengers program and everyone who's on there, he also notices Michael happens to be there, which it takes him by surprise, as he's still quite a young kid, but he has a nice memory of the child, and remembers how strong he was at such a young age, and is looking forward to seeing how he's grown over 4 years. So, after Fury had recruited Cap, he heads over to Clint's house to go get Michael. And when Michael notices a car, which looks familiar to him, start pulling up to his house, he's worried when he realises Fury's in there. Which makes him worry a little bit, because if Fury's had to come to his house without his father, he's now panicked a bit and runs over to see what the issue is. Fury explains everything that happened at the facility and says that he's forming a team and he needs Michael on that team. This is why they've trained him. There's a threat on Earth and it would help if he was here. Now, Michael doesn't want to do it without explaining what has happened to his mother. And he already knows he's going regardless, but he should warn her. Now, when he explains everything very quickly to his mum, she doesn't want him to go. But she also bites her tongue, knowing that if she was to say no, he would still go anyway. And this is what he has been training for. She tells Michael to bring back her husband and be very careful. And with that, Michael runs back to the car and gets in it with Fury before waving goodbye to his siblings. Now, we'll cut over to when everyone's on the helicarrier, where Bruce and Cap have just met each other, and just before the ship takes off, Michael lands and heads towards Natasha, who he sees, and he doesn't recognise the people she is standing with, but he'll go over and say hi, just in case. Now, when Michael approaches, Natasha gives him a quick greeting before telling him they need to get underground and giving a quick introduction to the pair. She explains that this is Cap and this is Banner. Michael gets really excited. This is Captain America, not only a great hero, but someone who's super strong and could maybe give Michael a good fight. And not many seconds after introducing himself, asked if they could have a sparring match at some point. Now, Steve have read all the bios that S.H.I.E.L.D. had on the Avenger program. He says hi to Michael and explains that now isn't the time, but maybe another day they can have this sparring match. Michael's a bit upset to hear this, but understands why. But when he looks over to Bruce, he has no idea who that guy is. Michael didn't do the reading on the team, so he has no idea. And asks Banner what his role is here. Banner, not really knowing himself, just says he doesn't know. And they all head down into the area where they're going to get everything explained to them. Now, with Michael there, Natasha does understand that he hasn't read anything and gives a quick rundown on who Banner is, saying he's a super smart genius who is here mostly to help locate Loki, but he's also the Incredible Hulk, the green monster that caused a lot of trouble for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past. But as she said, they only want him here for his brain at the moment. He's probably smarter than Tony Stark, to be honest. This is amazing to Michael. This person right there who doesn't look strong at all could possibly be stronger than him. He loves the thought, and there's a part of him deep down, his real Saiyan urges are telling him to challenge him, take him in a fight now, but his more responsible side tells him not to do that. He knows that that could cause a lot of issues for S.H.I.E.L.D. and many people could die. However, if the Hulk was to show up without Michael doing anything, he will take the opportunity to have a fight. Now, after this has been explained to Michael, and also Fury's given a quick rundown of what the mission is to capture Loki, as he's got the Tesseract and whatnot, they find a match for Loki in Germany. So, like a flash, Cap, Natasha and Michael grab some gear and head over to his last known location. Now, the scene of the party pretty much plays out the same, with Loki bringing out, making everyone come outside, getting them on their knees. The old man refuses, and Cap takes a blast for the man. However, when Natasha shows up with the giant gun to try and, take down Loki, she's having a hard time locking on with all the civilians in the way. So Cap and Loki start a fist fight, with Loki having the upper hand for the most part, but it's very easily swayed in Captain America's favour when Michael jumps in to punch Loki in the face. He says that he couldn't just sit and watch from the side, he wants to help, and he also needs to get answers on how to get his father back. So like that, Cap and Michael begin to fight against Loki, with any blows that Michael land dealing a bit more damage than what Steve was doing. However, the tag team, which was working, doesn't last for too long, as it's soon interrupted by a certain billionaire flying in, and he helps bring Loki to the floor. And he does surrender after this, knowing he's outmatched, and like that they start loading up Loki into the ship. Michael and Tony quickly say hi and just quickly catch up again. Tony's surprised with how much stronger the kid seems to have got over 4 years, but he looks exactly the same. The only difference is he's a bit taller now. And Michael says that it's nice to see Tony again, and hopefully this time they can have a sparring match once they've dealt with Loki, obviously.